Nice. That's it. Nice. Yep.
Okay, I'm back for episode number 8 of Life in Sports, and I am honored to be joined today by Sam Roberts. Sam, what's good?
Hey, I'm good, man. How you doing? Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. I'm honored to have you on. You have made quite an impression on me at Lasell. So, as I do with
Thank you.
every guest on the show, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm Sam Roberts. I'm 19 years old, born and raised in Wilbraham, Massachusetts. Um, this is where I met Connor long, long time ago, and grew up playing soccer and baseball. Carried that through high school, and now I'm studying at Lasell University and majoring in sports communications.
Yeah, Sam, that's thanks for reminding everyone that I did grow up in Wilbraham. Not a lot of people know that. It's a great little
Yep.
town up in Western Mass, home of Fenley's Ice Cream. So
Oh,
as you know, Wilbraham's such a great town, a lot of great people, great sports programs. What do you remember about those days of growing up in a special town?
I remember there was just a lot of diversity. There was a lot of options that you could do. I mean, I was coached by my dad and my grandfather a lot growing up, and I mean, I bounced around from league to league, whether it was like a JSL league or a Tri-Town league. We always had our options over here, and I tried to take advantage of that as much. We weren't like very financially stable. We didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't get sent to those special leagues where kind of like for soccer, like Western Mass Pioneers, we couldn't afford to send me to that. So to get my foot in the door and stuff like that, we just tried as much as we could for the things that we could afford with the Tri-Town, PVJSL, PSL, JSL, all that stuff, and just helped me grow my love for sports more and more each and every year.
Yeah, definitely. So me and you technically met each other in elementary school. You're 2 grades behind me. Your
Yeah.
brother was a grade ahead of me. Me and your brother actually competed in sports.
Yes,
So
sir.
So at Memorial, your grandfather actually volunteered at the school. What do you, and that's kind of weird because not a lot of people's grandparents work with their grandkids in school. What do you remember about your grandfather working at Memorial?
Oh, I remember a lot. He would always come in with his, I love Mondays and I hate Fridays, kind of energy that he would always talk about. Always talking about eating your veggies, playing his kazoo, wearing his hat that I actually have right here, um, and all that stuff. I remember he started when I was at Mile Tree, and my brother had just got done at Mile Tree, and he volunteered to be like a little reader for the class, read books to the kids and all that stuff. And all the kids loved him so much, they kept on asking him to come back, whether it was his funny glasses, the hat, the kazoo, his stories, whatever it was. He would come back. And then they just asked him to volunteer. And then he built a relationship with not only the teachers at all these different schools, but the students where they wanted to have him around. And that became his new passion as he was growing older in life, to dedicate his life to spending time with these kids, to help them in whatever way he can, whether that's with school or whether that's with life. And after Mile Tree, he would come to Memorial School with me and my brother. Then we would move on to the school system. Kind of did a little thing where Memorial didn't have enough students to run the following year when my brother was entering middle school. So I had to switch to Sewell Road School. And then Papaloo followed us there. He followed us to Sewell Road. And while I was there, he still stayed volunteering at Mile Tree. He still stayed volunteering at Stony Hill. He went all around the district in Wilbraham, dedicating his time with his kids for as much as he could. And I loved every second of it.
Yeah, your grandfather was a great guy. My vivid memory of your grandfather was when I was playing rec league baseball in 3rd grade I was in, and your brother was in 4th grade, and me and him were facing off in a playoff game. And your brother was on the mound, and there was actually a big at bat in the game. I remember I went up to the plate, and your grandfather was right behind the backstop, and I can hear everything he was saying and stuff. Like every pitch, would make a comment about like getting another heater or whatever, like putting him away and stuff like that. And it annoyed the living crap out of me. I wanted to turn around and tell him to keep his mouth shut, but like I ended up
Yeah,
striking out.
he was almost a different person when it came to that. When he was in school, he was kind, sweethearted, loving. Everything was all about having fun and enjoying life. And then when he was with baseball, oh my God, baseball was his life growing up. Um, he actually had an opportunity to play in the big leagues, but he stayed home to take care of his family. He was actually picked up by, I want to say, the St. Louis Cardinals, where they wanted to sign him. But unfortunately, he chose to stay home and take care of his family. His father and his mother were becoming ill, and he had brothers and sisters that he needed to take care of. So he stayed home to take care of them. But baseball was that man's passion. You know, growing up, he would after the game it was a different story. It would be the pep talk, the motivational speech. If you had a rough game, he cheered you up during the game. It was, I'm gonna be screaming at you, I'm gonna be giving you advice, I'm gonna tell you what I think you should do, and you go out there and execute it the way I know you can. But that was, oh my God. He loved that game more than anything.
Yeah, so I ended up striking out, and I went around to turn around and give him like a look, like I was so pissed. But
Yeah.
that's interesting you say that about your grandfather. My dad's dad actually got a pro contract as well, but he decided to stay at home and take care of the family as well.
Do you know what team?
I think it was like the St. Louis Browns at the time. Like he played like overseas during the war, and I think he got offered some sort of contract to play professional baseball, but he decided not to take it.
That's incredible, though. That's incredible.
So then you go to Minnetonka,
Yeah.
and you become such a great baseball and soccer player. What do you remember about your high school days of playing two sports?
It started off not the way I expected. My freshman year, I was on the freshman team for soccer and the freshman team for baseball, and I was a little disappointed. I thought I was going to at least be on JV. But at that point, I accepted it. I knew it was what it was. I was small. I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet. I was skinny. I hadn't put on muscle the way I needed to and the way I should have been. So I started working out as much as I could. I started eating better. The growth spurt, my family's not tall, so I mean, I did what I could. I'm 5'9" now, but over time, I developed this leadership mentality where it was the team over everything, where I put my team's perspective, my team winning, all that stuff. That was my main priority, making sure that my teammates were striving for success and that we could achieve it together. And I think that's what helped me as much as I could as I continued to get higher and higher through the grade levels. I mean, my junior year or my sophomore year, I was called up to varsity right before, I think 2 or 3 games before playoffs. And that team was phenomenal. We had 16 seniors for soccer. We were 16-1-1, made it to Western Mass Finals, but unfortunately lost in double overtime. And then junior year, we had a down year where we were rebuilding because we lost so many seniors. And then my senior year for soccer, I was voted team captain. And that was probably my greatest accomplishment for soccer. And then we brought that team back to a winning season, but unfortunately couldn't achieve the end goal. And then for baseball, I feel like I've always been a more talented baseball player than I was for a soccer player. And I got called up my sophomore year for varsity baseball as well for playoffs to be used as a pinch runner. And I stole 3 bases in the playoffs. But unfortunately, just like with soccer, we made it to Western Mass Finals, but lost 7-1 to Tantascwa. And then junior year, I was like 50-50 with playing time because we still had a good amount of seniors that year. And then my senior year is where I really took off. I hit 420. I had a 535 on base percentage. I had the lowest strikeouts in the league, and I did this all from the 9 spot. So I was proud of that.
Hey, the 9 spot's very important in the order because you kind of want a speed guy in the 9 hole to go back to the top of the order.
Exactly.
So also when you were in your high school days, you got all league for Western Mass for soccer and then all state in baseball. What did it mean getting those 2 honors?
To me, in all honesty, I was absolutely shocked at first. I did not expect to receive that. I was never one to get a lot of recognition from everywhere, whether it was in my school, my town. It always seemed to me that there was someone else who was sort of in the spotlight. I mean, for baseball, we had this phenomenal pitcher, Kyle Cunningham. Loved the kid, one of my good buddies. And there would be games where I could hit in a game-winning run in the top of the seventh or the bottom of the seventh to walk it off, or I could steal a key base or something like that got us in the scoring position and we were able to get a run. But it's just my teammates. They were always so impressive. They were always so talented where it seemed like the stat line that they put up overshadowed the little moments of that I may have had or other teammates may have had. So to get that recognition, it was special for me, and especially because it made me think of my grandfather, Papa Lou. As we said, he passed away when I was in, I want to say, 6th grade, and we would bond over baseball and we would bond over soccer, even though he wasn't a big soccer guy. And to gain recognition from not just my teammates or the coaches, just my peers around the league, it was a phenomenal feeling, especially because I know I was making him proud up in heaven when I got those honors, and it just made me feel finally that all the work that I put in had finally paid off. It's truly a special feeling.
I'm sure that's very special. And you also told me that you actually got some offers to go play college, but you declined them. Do you have any regrets about declining those offers, or do you still?
There's always a little bit of regret in the back of my mind. I miss the game more than anything. I love baseball. I love soccer with a passion. I mean, for soccer, I had 4 Division III offers. One was actually from the school that my brother goes to, that he just graduated from, Norwich University. And for baseball, I had, I believe, 5 Division III offers and 2 Division II offers. And it's always been in the back of my mind whether or not I wanted to start up again, keep playing the game that I love. But it came to a point where I wanted to focus on my education for once, focus on my future, dedicate my time in college to discovering my passion and following it so I can create a bigger and brighter future for myself. And with this semester, I believe I've done that. Could I have played baseball or soccer while doing what I did? I believe I could have. And like I said, it's always in the back of my mind if I want to, make a comeback to it. But it's a tough decision to make. I love the game. I miss it more than life. But I am doing what is best for my future right now. And I'm starting to put those stepping stones in place and build myself up to where I need to be by the time I put on a cap and gown for Lasell and graduate. So there may be a day where I come back to the game. There may not be, but the thing that will never change is my love for it. That will always remain no matter what I choose to do.
Hey, you can always come back to the game and be a coach or a scout. You never know.
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, you come to Lasell, you study sport broadcasting and stuff, and that's how we actually met each other again. But I don't think we realized that we were Wilbraham guys until I saw on your Facebook you're a Wilbraham guy.
It took me a minute too. I remember walking into the class and I saw you. I was like, God, that face looks so familiar. But like I was thinking like, no. Then I heard you say you were from Cape, and I was like, no, there's no way I've met this kid before. He's from the Cape. Maybe he's just got one of those faces that's like you see it and it's like, oh, I feel like I know that face, but. And then it took from that online Zoom class after we became friends on Facebook, and you asked all those questions about where, and I was like, I started to connect the dots, and I would start to remember, and then you reminded me about how you were playing baseball against my brother. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember it now. I remember it all. That was small world.
Yeah, and then our professor was John Meterparel, who's the voice of BC football and used to be on WEI with Dennis and Callahan. What did it mean to you to learn under a guy like him that had such a great resume?
I loved it. Especially because to me, especially with a job like sports broadcasting, experience can be better than education in some circumstances. You need to be educated on, what you're talking about, what you're saying. You need to know your stuff. But he actually had that knowledge and had the experience where the information that I was taking in, I could tell was important and beneficial for my future. And the fact that he was at WEEI, meant a lot to me because that's where I want to start. That's where I want to go after college. WEEI would be a phenomenal starting place, not just because it's, Boston sports, but it's because it's bigger than just one sport. It has every sport in pretty much New England all bundled up into one. The Patriots, the Sox, the Bruins, the Celtics, they got it all. And I want to show that versatility where I can talk about every sport, know my facts, and do it at the highest level where I can actually, getting paid to talk about sports is the dream. That is something I bet a lot of people would love to do. And if I can do that, that would be a phenomenal start. And I think WEEI would be the perfect place for me. I love listening to them, and I want to be a part of that one day.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a sports management major, and I had to just pick another class to have to get 12 credits, and I picked that one. And I remember I was talking to one of my professors, and she was like, "Oh, do you know he was on EEI?" And then it started to click again, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like he was on Dennis and Callahan. Dennis and Callahan was the first ever sports radio show that I listened to, and it was just like come full circle with having him as a professor. I was kind of intimidated because I knew nothing about sports broadcasting, but then I realized, oh, just talk about sports and stuff, and you get there.
And I mean, from hearing you talk, you knew more about your sports than all the actual sport communication and broadcasting majors in there. You knew your facts a lot better than a lot of those kids. But I mean, that class was so beneficial. And think about it, dude. If you didn't pick that class, I would have just passed you by in the hallways, walking to my next class, thinking I know that face, but I can't put a name to it.
Yeah, unbelievable. And your brother also faced my brother as well because we played on the same team in third grade. So.
I forgot about it. I know I remember you. I don't remember your brother as well, but I know I remember you.
Yeah, when my brother played that year, he was a pitcher, and during that time, the Red Sox signed Daisuke Matsuzaka, and my brother decided to have the Daisuke windup as his main windup. So that was, very interesting. He was actually a decent pitcher.
Move.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! At least it wasn't a Craig Kimbrell though.
No.
Kimbrell's little arm thing that it. Yeah.
At least my brother didn't develop the gyro ball.
Oh yeah. That would have been something else.
And another interesting fact about you was you actually write up NFL draft guides almost every year. What can you tell me about that project and what goes into it?
Oh, that all started when I want to say, I was either 13 or 14 years old, and me and my dad were watching the NFL draft because, football was gone. That was what we loved to watch. And it was, it's that point of the year where you start to get a little bit of football back before preseason comes around. And I actually started studying up on college players that year. I was looking around at, the needs the Patriots had, and I was thinking oh, they need a running back. Oh, they need an offensive lineman. Oh, they need a defensive end. And that year, just based off of the research that I was doing and watching film on YouTube and all that stuff, I picked 5 of the 7 draft picks that the Patriots had. And I impressed my dad so much that it got to the point where he was like, what's the harm of creating your own report and sending it in? So the next time the draft rolled around the following year, that's what I did. This time, instead of just looking at prospects, I put pen to paper and I would start writing and typing and doing my research, finding the pros and cons of these players, if they fit the Patriots system with the defensive schemes that they choose to run, or with the offensive packages the Patriots have with Josh McDaniels coordinating plays. And I compiled a list of players who I thought we could get at, rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever round it may be. I picked the players who I believe, no matter what round they were drafting in, could make a big impact on this team. And I did that. This was actually the first year I did not do that. And that was thanks to Lasell going online and giving me 8 hours of homework a day where I could not fit it into my schedule. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing that. I love doing that. It's work, but it's not really work for me. It's more, like I said, sports are a passion for me. So it's not really work if you're enjoying what you're doing, in my opinion.
Exactly. So you're going to be the next Mel Kiper?
I would love that in all honesty. I mean, there was a point where I wanted to be a draft scout for the Patriots, and that's why I started doing this. I got a little recognition from it. I was on Boston Herald Radio. I was on public access TV for a local Western Mass news reporter, and for the longest time, I wanted to be a draft scout. But I kept on doing my research. I actually met a few guys that were in the field, and it got me to start to realizing what I wanted to do more of as college rolled around. They told me about, like, I knew the draft scout position was a difficult one to attain because you have 12 scouts for 32 teams, so it's limited positions. And he said for the vast majority of the people that he knew that became draft scouts, they started the first 5 years of their life as an unpaid intern. The next 5 years were minimum wage paid intern. And then if they were lucky enough, they got their chance. And it got me to thinking, do I really want to be 32 years old, trying to support myself and possibly even supporting my family living off of 5 years with no pay and 5 years minimum wage just to have a 50-50 shot? And then it also got me thinking that I don't have to narrow myself to one sport. Like I said, my dream is to be a sportscaster, wherever that may be. And I believe that I can do so much more than football. I mean, football is my main thing to talk about. I love it more than anything. But I knew that I can cover football, baseball, soccer, basketball, hockey. And I believe by broadening my horizons, I'm creating more of a name for myself than I could if I were to still be on that path of trying to become a draft scout.
Definitely. And if you ever want to get into baseball with scouting, I know a lot of people in the industry. Just let me know and I can get you in contact with some people.
That sounds good to me. I wouldn't mind that at all. Because scouting's always on the back of my mind too. No matter, baseball and football are the ones that I love to scout. Basketball, I mean, I don't have as much knowledge of basketball in comparison to the others, but I could scout for that if I wanted to. If I really put my heart to it, I know I could possibly scout for more leagues potentially. I mean, it would be difficult, especially with a learning curve with sports that I'm not as familiar with, but baseball and football, those would be some dream jobs right there, especially if I could get a foot in the door.
Yeah, the thing with
along with sportscasting, nothing better than that.
Not at all, definitely. So thanks a lot for your time, Sam, and I hope in a month or two you can get down to the Cape and see me.
I would love to, man, and thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care, man.
No problem.